You
We're under attack!
speak, fool. Finally,
Our allied town is
at
being
last,
attacked!
Frostmourne hungers. Finally, Frostmourne hungers for the Lich King. At last, you will enter.
Our
Frostmourne
allied town is
hungers.
being attacked!
No one orders me around. What is it now? Tread lightly. Speak, fool. This is more like it. At last, Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Finally, this is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Now, Frostmourne. Glory to the Scourge for the Lich King. Finally. At last, Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last, Frostmourne hungers. At last, Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. What is it now? No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked!
What is it now?
Our allies' hero has been slain!
Speak. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? No one orders me around. This is more like it. At last, Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. What is it now? Finally. At last.
Point the way.
No one orders me around.
Point the way.
What is it now? Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. At last, Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? Finally. At last,
Way.
this is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Point the
Tread
way.
lightly. This is more like it. Speak, fool. At last, Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. At last. At last, Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Speak, fool. At last.
Our allies' hero has been slain!
What is it now? This is more like it. Finally. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked!
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Ah, at last. Speak. No one orders me.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Ah, at last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Ah, at last. Now, Frostborn. Your pain will be legendary. You will know endless torment. Finally. This is more like it. Ah, at last. Now, Frostborn. Frostborn hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
We're under attack.
Finally. You will know endless. For the Lich. This is more like it. Finally. Ah, at last. Tread lightly. This is more like it.
We're under attack.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Ah, at last. Finally. Your pain shall be legendary. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This
We're
is
under
more like
attack.
it. Frostborn hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Ah, at last. No one orders me around. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. What is it now? Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Ah, at last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. This is more like it. Frostborn
Our allies'
hungers.
hero has been slain.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. No one orders me around. Finally.
Point the way.
Tread lightly. What is it now? Ah, at last. No one orders me around. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Ah, at last. Finally. This is more like it. Glory to the Scourge. Ah, at last. Frostborn.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Speak, fool. Tread lightly. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it. Ah, at last. What is it now? Finally.
Our allied town is being
At
attacked.
last. This is more like it. Ah, at last. Finally. This is more like it. Tread lightly. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
For the Lich King. This is more like it. Ah, at last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. Your pains are legendary. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town
This
is
is
being
more
attacked.
like it. Finally.
Point the way.
Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. This is more like it. No one orders me.
Our hero has been slain. Our allies' hero has been slain.
Lightly. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? At last. Finally. Lightly. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. For the Lich King.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. No one orders me around. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Finally. Tread lightly. Frostborn hunger.
We need more gold.
What is it now? Finally.
Our allied town is being
Frostborn
attacked.
hunger. Finally. Speak. Frostborn hunger. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. What is it?
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn
Our
hungers.
allies' hero has been slain.
Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn
Our
hungers.
allies' hero has
At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Up with you. Faithless coward. Now, Frostborn. last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. For the Lich King. At last. Finally. At last. This is more
Our allied town is being
Frostborn
attacked.
hungers. Finally. Tread lightly. No one orders me. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Visit now. No one orders me around. This is more like it. What is it now?
Our allied town is
Finally.
being attacked.
This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being
Frostborn
attacked.
hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last.
Our
This is
allied
more
town
like
is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. This is at last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
Our allies' hero has been
Frostborn
slain.
hungers.
Our
This
allied
is
town
more
is
like
being
it.
attacked.
At last. Oh, your pain is legendary. For the Lich King. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Now Frostborn.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Your pain will be legendary. Frostborn hungers. At last. For the Lich King. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. Speak, fool. Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? At last. Finally. No one wants me around. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied hero has been slain.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? No one. At last. This is more like it. At last. Speak, fool. This is more like it. At last.
Our allied town is
Frostborn
being
hungers.
attacked.
Finally. No one orders me around. Your pain shall be legendary. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last, Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. At last, this is more like it. Speak, fool. Finally, this is more
Our
like
allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. At last, finally, this is more like it. Finally. No one orders me around. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. No one orders me around. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. At last, this is more like it.
Point the way.
Speak, fool. What is it? At last, Frostmourne
Our
hungers.
allied town is being
Tread
attacked.
lightly. At last. What is it now? This is more like it. Finally, this is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last, Frostmourne hungers. Finally, at last, this is more like it. At last. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. No one orders me around. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. Glory to the scourge. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. At last. Finally. At last.
We're under attack.
Finally. What is it now? Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. What is it now? Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last.
Our allied town is
Finally.
being attacked.
At last. What is it now? Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked. Our allies' hero has been slain.
Speak, fool. At last. No one
Our
orders me
allies' hero has been slain.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At
Our
last.
allied town is being
Frostmourne
attacked.
hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. Your pain shall be legendary.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Frostmourne
Our
hungers.
allied
This
town
is
is
more
being
like it.
attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. At last, tread lightly. This is more like it. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. Finally, last, Frostmourne hungers. Finally, this is more like it. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. At last.
Welcome to our
No
village.
one orders me around. Frostmourne
Our allied
hungers.
town is being attacked.
At last. Finally, Frostmourne hungers. At last. Now, this is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Faithless coward. No one orders me around. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last.
We're under attack.
At last.
Our hero has been slain. Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Speak, fool. Finally, this is more like it. Finally, at last. This is more like it. Lightly. Finally,
Our allies'
is
hero has been slain.
Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around.
Our
This is
allied
more
town
like
is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. You will end this torment.
Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers. At last.
Our allied town
Frostmourne
is being
hungers.
attacked.
Speak, fool. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied
at
town is
last.
being attacked.
Finally.
Not enough.
This is more like it. At last. Speak.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? At last. This is more like it. At last.
Our allied
last.
town is being attacked.
Lightly. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it.
Our allied town
What
is
is it?
being attacked.
Speak, fool. Finally.
Our allied town is being
last.
attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. What is it now? Speak, fool. What is it now? Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Glory to the scourge. Speak, fool. For the Lich King. Glory to the scourge. At last. What is it now? Hello there. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. You will get this. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. No one orders me. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Frostmourne
Our
hungers.
allied's hero has been slain.
Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being
Speak,
attacked.
fool. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Tread lightly. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Speak, fool.
Our allied town is
Frostmourne
being
hungers.
attacked.
At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. Finally.
Point the way.
This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being
Frostmourne
attacked.
hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Your pain shall be legendary. Finally. At last. This at last.
Our allies' hero has
Finally.
been slain.
Speak, fool. At last. Finally. What is it now? At last. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. I'll make you suffer. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? Finally. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. At last. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more
Our
like it.
allied town is being attacked.
At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. Speak, fool. At last. What is it now? This is more like
Our allied town is being
at
attacked.
last. Finally. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Glory to the Scourge. At last. Speak. Frostmourne
Our hero has been slain. Our allies' hero has been slain.
tread lightly. This is
Our
more
allied
like it.
town is being attacked.
No one orders me around. At last. Tread lightly. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Our
Frostmourne
allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied
What
town
is
is
it
being attacked.
Speak, fool. At last. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Our allied town is
This is
being
more
attacked.
like it. Finally. What is it now?
Our
Frostmourne
allies' hero has
hungers.
been slain.
Tread lightly.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostborn hunger. At last. For the Lich King. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. No one orders me around. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. At last. Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last.
Our hero has been slain. Our allied hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied hero has been slain.
No one orders me around. Tread lightly. What is it now? Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Our allied
Speak,
hero has
fool.
been slain.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
Our allied town is
For the
being
Lich
attacked.
King. Finally. Faithless coward. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Tread lightly. Faithless coward. At last. Finally.
We're under attack.
This is more like it. Finally. What is it now? This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. At last. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? No one orders me around. Finally.
Our allied town
This
is
is
being
more
attacked.
like it.
Inventory is full.
At last. Finally. Frostborn. Tread lightly. What is it now? This is more like it. Tread lightly. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last.
We're under attack!
Frostborn hungers.
Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
No one
Our
orders
allied
me
town
around.
is being attacked.
Tread lightly. This is more like it. Last.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
Finally. Last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. This is more like it. Finally.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked. Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
No one orders me around. Frostborn
Our allied
hungers.
town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. What is it now? Frostborn hungers.
Our
No one
allied
orders
town
me
is being
around.
attacked.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. At last. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn last. Frostborn
Our allies' hero has been slain.
at last. This is more like it. Tread lightly. What is it now? Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Speak, fool. Frostborn
Our allied town
hungers.
is being attacked.
This is more like it. At last. Finally. At last. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Speak, fool. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Tread lightly. At last. This is more like it. At last. Glory to the scourge.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. This
Our
is more
allied
like
town
it.
is being attacked.
Finally. This is more like it. At last.
Greetings, friend.
What is it now?
Inventory is full.
Finally. This is more like it. At last. No one orders me around. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Glory to the scourge. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. This is more like
We're
it.
under attack. Our
Finally.
allies' hero has been
This is
slain.
more like it. At last. Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? Tread lightly. What is it now? Finally. At last. Finally.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
Speak, fool. No one orders me around. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. What is it? Finally. This is what Frostborn hungers.
Not enough.
Our allies' hero has been slain.
This is
Our allied town is being attacked. Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. is being attacked.
Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it. What is it?
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Frostmourne
Our
hungers.
allied town is being attacked.
Finally. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked. Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. We need our allied town is being attacked. Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne
Our allies'
hungers.
hero has been slain.
Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied town is being
last.
attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Fate is coming. At last. Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked. Our hero has been slain. Our allied hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? No one orders me around. Tread lightly.
Our
Frostmourne
allied town is being
hungers.
attacked.
Finally. This is more like it. Hungers. At last.
allies' hero has been slain.
Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Your pain shall be lessened.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? Finally.
Our allied town
This
is
is more
being
like
attacked.
Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is
Our allied town is being attacked.
at last. Finally. Glory to the Scourge. This is finally. At last. Finally. At last. This is what. This is what. At last. Frostmourne. Glory to the Scourge.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Frostmourne hungers.
Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allies' hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allies' hero has been slain. We need more lumber. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
Speak, fool. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last.
Our allied
This
town
is
is being attacked.
No one will listen me around. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Tread lightly. Frostmourne
Our allied
hungers.
town is being attacked.
At last. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally.
Our
At
allied
last.
town is being attacked.
Finally. Frostmourne. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostmourne. This is
Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked.
No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. At last. Frostmourne shall be legendary. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being
What is it
attacked.
now? This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Tread lightly. Finally. Frostmourne
Our allied
hungers.
hero has been
This is more
slain.
like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. I'll make sure you see. Witness coward. This is more like it. For the Lich King. Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. Finally. At last. I'll make sure you suffer. Frostmourne hungers. Now, Frostmourne. Finally. Faithless coward. For the Lich King. Now, Frostmourne. Your pain shall be legendary. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. No one orders me around. At last. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. What is it now? Finally. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Our allied town
This
is
is
being
more
attacked.
like it. At last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally.
Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied hero has been slain. Our allied hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. 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 Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. This is what. Finally. This is what. No one orders me around. What is it?
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. Finally.
Our allied town
At
is being
last.
attacked.
This is more like it. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. last.
Our
Frostborn
allied town is being
hungers.
attacked.
Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn
Our allied town is being attacked.
at last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied hero has been slain.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Finally. No one orders me around. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Hello
at
there.
last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn
Our
hungers.
allied town is being attacked.
At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Frostborn hungers. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is what. At last. Finally. This is
I mean,
Frostborn hungers. This is what.
Our hero has been slain. Our allied's hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
Lightly. Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked.
No one
Our
orders
allied's
me
hero has been
around.
slain.
Frostborn hungers. At last.
Our allied's hero has been
Finally.
slain.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. This is
Our
more
allied
like
town
it.
is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. What is it now? Finally. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being
At
attacked.
last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town
at
is being
last.
attacked.
At last.
Speak, fool.
Finally. This is more like it.
being attacked.
At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally.
Our allied town
This
is
more
being
like
attacked.
it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. No one orders
Our
me
allied town
around.
is being attacked.
At last. Finally. At last. Finally. What is it now? This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Our allied town is being attacked.
At last. Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last.
Our
Finally.
allied town is being attacked.
Frostborn hungers. Finally. Speak, fool. At last. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. This is more like
Our
it.
allied town is being
What is it
attacked.
now? Finally. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. At last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is
Our allied town is being attacked. Our hero has been slain. Our allied town is being attacked. Our allied town is being attacked.
tread lightly. At last. Is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Speak, fool. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Tread lightly.
We need more
No
gold.
one orders me around.
Our allied hero
What
has
is
been
it now?
slain.
Frostmourne hungers. Torment. Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. What is it now? Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. This is more like it.
Our allied's hero has been
Finally.
slain.
What is it? Ah, at last. Tread lightly. Finally. Ah, at last. No one orders me around. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Ah, at last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. Finally. Ah, at last. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers.
Our allied
No
town
one.
is being attacked.
Glory to the Scourge. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last.
Our allied town is being attacked.
Ah, at last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. Finally. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it.
Our allied town is being attacked.
What is it now? Ah, at last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Tread lightly.
Welcome to our village.
What is it now? Ah,
Our
at
allied's hero
last.
has been slain.
This is more like it. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. What is it now? No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. This is